Hi, this is Zak Mir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Vox Markets for Thursday, the 24th of June. Starting off with Dukemount Capital, where the shares have now doubled from the low that we saw last week at 0.23. An end-of-day close above, I suppose, the recent resistance, 0.47, should be enough to get the shares up towards the 50-day moving average at 0.56 over the next week or two. That doesn't seem to be too much of an ambitious target. It looks as though also we've got an inverted head and shoulders, so basically 0.23 to 0.47 rather. That does imply a move back towards, if you add up 0.23 from 0.47, you could get up towards the 0.7 area, but at the moment we're currently going for 0.56. That seems enough, and the upside valid while we hold above yesterday's intraday low at 0.38. On to DeepVerge, which has had some decent news today. Here you can see from the charting perspective, just trying to break that line of resistance there from May, around 34.5 pence, end of day close or a weekly close above that. Could finally get the shares up to our long-standing technical target here at the top of that rising trend channel from October, as high as 50 pence. Probably the earliest we could see that is by the end of next month, but obviously these markets can move more quickly or more slowly than we would like. Moving along to Gtech, which is it's been sort of consolidating since February in a range between, what's that, sort of 22 to 30p. Nice sort of saucer pattern here that we've got in the near term. That suggests that some strength building up there for the stock, and that's the reason for the inclusion today. Want to see an end-of-day close basically through the 50-day moving average and through that line of resistance from May. That's around 24 pence, so end-of-day or weekly close above that. And we could at least be up to the top of the range at 30 pence. Best case scenario target at the moment up towards the top of the March triangle there at 35 pence, perhaps by the end of next month. Stock which I cover a lot and seems to normally behave itself is Itaconix. Here we've had that pullback from the double top through 16 pence, both this month and last month. Looks as though the shares have found a floor at the rising trend channel from January. That's around the 11 pence area, and above 11 pence on an end of day close basis, looking towards 20 pence at the top of that January trend channel. That might be seen over the next 6 to 8 weeks if we get a decent close above, I suppose, 12.5, 13 pence, which is that June resistance line. Cromec, another frequent flyer here on the Bulletin Board Heroes. What you can see here is a nice 2-day bounce off the 200-day moving average at 14.4 pence, above the 200-day line on an end-of-day close basis, and we're hopefully looking towards the top of that March triangle as high as 21 pence by the end of next month. Stock which had a decent flurry on good news just a few days ago. It was Midatech Pharma. Had that spike through 50 pence, which was just shy of our rather ambitious target of 50 pence at the top of the triangle from last summer. Current situation is that we've got a nice support level there from yesterday's low, around 31 pence. Above that, looking for a retest of the best levels of the month to date at 51.95. If you're cautious of the situation, perhaps wait for an end-of-day close through yesterday's intraday peak at 37, which isn't too far away, but that might just give the shares the edge they need. Requested stock, which has been slightly disappointing after a spiking through to 1.2 pence last month. Here we've got Oriole Resources, and it is disappointing that the shares have gone back below 0.6. Probably need to see an end-of-day close above 0.6 to get the shares back in the previous earlier range for June, 0.6 to up towards 0.9. And unless we get that 0.6 plus, then probably one would be fearing there'll be a bit more of a drift towards 0.5. But at this stage, 0.6 on an end-of-day close basis, a decent technical trigger on a potential improvement in the shares, especially as they are so oversold at the moment. RSI below 30, below 30 normally in the deep oversold area in terms of the technicals. Moving along to a stock which has bounced back a bit today after dipping below the 0.2 pence level. Sort of a similar setup to what we might see at Oriole. So you had the old 0.2 pence support there for Oilex. Few days below 0.2, and then today we pushed up quite strongly to 0.23. The view here is that while we're above 0.2, looking towards at least 0.3, which is the current June intraday peak for the shares. So let's see how that goes. Also got bullish divergence in the oscillator window, so the lower low for June matched by basically a flat RSI trace over the near term. Another bear trap situation at Riverfort, which had its news today. A little bear trap below 1.6 pence yesterday, but closed back above it, and we were sort of holding 1.7 pence at the moment. Probably if you're a bull of the stock and want to see a decent push to the upside, an end of day close above that April resistance line could be the trigger for a fresh move to the upside, and probably up towards the target we've been looking for quite some time, towards 3 or 3.5 pence, which is a resistance line projection from November. So let's see if we can break 1.8 pence relatively quickly. All the while we're above the 200-day line at 1.36, the stock still in bull mode at Riverfort. Stock which had a great run earlier in the month and looks like it's coming back for more is Tyra Party. Again, yesterday we had a little bear trap below what was previous support around £1.23, so just overshot that, and back up quite sharply today, so above 1.23 on an end of day close basis, looking towards a retest of 160, which was the old target, which was hit just a couple of weeks back, so all quite good there. Good to see Webbis back on the front foot, so to speak. Here we've had a gap higher. Always good news, or normally good news when you see a gap higher. This time through the 50-day moving average, we did have a sort of failed gap higher in May, but not too much damage done since then. The view now that is while we're above both the floor of the gap, 4.27 pence, and that resistance line from April, we're looking towards the top of the rising trend channel from February's high as 7.5 pence as soon as the end of July. Finishing off with the stock which has gathered strength over recent weeks and months, Warpaint. Great name for a company, and we also had great price action as well. We've had gaps to the upside unfilled in April, and then earlier this month as well. Floor of the channel at the moment around yesterday's low, £1.56, and above that on an end of day close basis, looking towards £2.40 as soon as middle of August, maybe 4 to 6 weeks for that particular target, but could be hit more quickly given the momentum that seems to be gathering for the shares. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.